Good afternoon. You have tuned into another edition of the Don Miller Broadcast Extravaganza, the Don Miller Show. We have been here for many years, and we thank you so much for joining us. This will be a very monotone 2 hours. Hell no! Glenn Allgood in the morning, WOKB Radio, 1680. Hey, man.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Man, I'm out here in these streets, man.
How you feeling, man?
Man, listen to me, man. I'm out here in these streets.
Okay.
Got a lot to talk about.
Right.
Listen, I know people probably just got through listening to Church Songs in a Row by Glenn Allgood. This is getting ready to be something else. So if you are of the faint of heart, but many of you already been listening to the Don Miller program, but if you are of the faint of heart, right, it's not the show for you. If you are emotional and not informational, turn now. Turn the dial now. If you are caught up in ridiculousness and thinking that there's some people who are above reproach, turn now. Thanks so much, everybody. Glenn Allgood.
Man, what's going on
I'm going
with
to
you,
get
Don?
straight to the damn point.
You all right?
Brittany Griner should still be in Russia.
Oh, God.
What the hell, man? What are we doing? 407-894-1680. 407-894-1680. So we just gave a guy up, right, who was number one most wanted on Interpol, not FBI, Interpol, International Police Agency, right? Mm-hmm. They wanted this guy for years, right? This guy was a mass murderer, right? He was a terrorist / mass murderer.
His nickname was the Merchant of Death.
Okay, so he didn't give no.
He's a gun dealer.
Listen to me, guys, right? I want to speak specifically to the Negro.
This is right out of a James Bond movie, Don Miller.
I want to speak specifically to the Negro who's been on TV. I've been watching you Negroes on these threads, right? And for the white people feeling serious guilt about this, okay? Because that's what I'm saying. White people out here, white folk, let us tell you how you can help us, okay? Listen to me. Stopping me like yesterday saying, my God, Don, aren't you so excited for the young lady to come home? What young lady? You mean Brittany Griner?
Hey.
What young lady? You mean Brittany Griner? Lady stopped me yesterday. Aren't you so excited for the young lady to come home? What young lady? You mean Brittany Griner? And no, I'm not. Please stop it.
Why are you not happy that Brittany Griner has come home?
Let me just say this. It's not that I'm not happy. I thought it was a bad trade, right? Just as I thought some of the trades I've watched in sports were bad trades, right? When one team gets the up on the other team, right? It was a bad trade.
You traded OJ for Justin Timberlake.
A long time ago, right?
Okay.
But the point I'm making is this. Listen, black folk. I want to talk specifically to black folk right now. There's some things you do. Sometimes you just stand down on this one, right? Because if you don't think that this is a curveball coming down the line, Brittany Griner was traded for a guy, black people. I want black people to read, right?
Now, I mean, where are you going with this?
Just listen to me. Listen to me. Glenn, I want you to think about this for a minute and be straight with me and see if you can get Jarrell. Me and Jarrell just had a wonderful conversation. See if you can get Jarrell on the phone. I just want you to think about this, Glenn. Do you think this was a good trade?
You're not going to back me into going to Don Miller. No, because this is this. And when we say trade and as guys and as people, we see value for value. Okay. And if we see that this dude was his name was the Merchant of Death.
Okay,
Don.
That's very
for Brittany
important.
Griner, you're an everyday WNBA basketball player.
Right.
No, that wasn't a good trade.
Okay, now I see if you can get my man do it because
I will.
I want to just say this, people. 407-894-1680. Call me if you think this was a good trade. Call me if you think it was a bad trade. But I'm going to sit here today and say that Brittany Griner coming back on a deal like this bothers me a lot. And let me break it down why it bothers me, right? So you got to know the story of the former Russian military officer Victor Bout, right? You got to know the story. He's a former Russian military officer turned illegal firearms distributor extraordinaire, right? And this guy was sought after for many years by many nations, right? So former Russian military officer turns into the greatest weapons dealer in the history.
He's an arms dealer.
That's what he does, right?
That's what he does. He sells guns.
So this guy sells guns.
You got Jarrell on, too.
And he sells guns, right?
Jarrell fought in the desert.
And he sells guns, right? This is why I want him on. Yeah. And he sells guns, right?
Right.
To everybody, right?
Does. Yes.
Let's go to the phone lines. Join me here on the show, Brother Jarrell from that show. Him and Glenn be on there with that dolphin nonsense.
Really, dog? Really?
What day is the show?
Dog.
Wednesdays?
No, it's Fridays and Mondays.
Fridays and Mondays. That dolphin nonsense.
Nobody's ever gone 17 and Don Miller.
Dolphin nonsense. Brother Jarrell, lady stopped me yesterday and said, well, aren't you so glad, right, that the young lady is coming home? I said, what young lady? You mean Brittany Griner? So listen, Jarrell, come on, man. You gave this country some hard time, right?
Listen, Don, first off, thank y'all for having me on. And also, when you talk about the Miami Dolphins, I need you to put some respect on that. Need you to put some respect on that.
Okay.
But first off, you ever had buyer's remorse?
Have I? Yeah. Have I? I'm the king of buyer's remorse. Okay.
Right. That's good. Where are you going with this? Where are you going with this?
When I heard about the swap, and listen. First off, swap's been going on forever.
Yes, they have.
So this is not the first swap. This is not the first bad swap. But when you have a guy getting traded for another guy.
Wait a minute. Brittany Griner's a Brittany Griner.
Huh?
Brittany Griner.
Brittany Griner. Yeah, I heard the audio. I heard her talking. That wasn't Brittany Griner.
Anyway, go ahead, man.
Okay.
Just make your point, Glenn.
It's a bad trade, and it goes to the point to where you're giving up. You're switching. You're swapping a runner to Joe, everyday Joe, for a merchant of death. Me being in the military, these weapons that this man sold to people were shooting at me, Don. Was shooting at my fellow comrades that he was selling to everybody and everything, and we had him.
Right.
And we had him.
Well, so how come somebody like that doesn't get the death penalty? How come he doesn't go to court, Don Miller, and just waste away here in the military prisons?
But he was gonna waste away in a military prison. We gave him back.
No.
So, Glenn, where was he at? Where was he in prison at?
It should have been a federal prison. Where was he?
Right. And you know
how cushy. Yes.
Federal prisons are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you talking about, and we don't sentence that many people to death.
Right.
We don't. That's not our country. Now Russia do.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing is, Brittany Griner should still be incarcerated in Russia. That was a bad swap.
That was a terrible swap.
I'm glad. Don't get me. I'm glad she. I'm glad when anybody got out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
But that was for that. No.
You know, Glenn, and let's think about this, right? I think what people have gotten not paid attention to is not only was it a bad swap, black people, and I need the black people, please. You guys are embarrassing me more and more with this ridiculous ass non-reading nonsense.
How?
They're non-readers, and don't come to me if you're a non-reader, right? Do you understand how significant Victor Boot played in the Congo and Liberia and Rwanda and the Sudan?
Why do you have to go there?
Sierra Leone.
Why do you have to go there?
Angola. Let me just repeat this. Black people, when you're watching people in the Congo, in the Sudan, in Sierra Leone, in Liberia, in Angola, right? Dying in these wars, right? Victor sold those weapons. Please listen. Go read. He sold the weapons that our brothers and sisters on the African continent have been murdered, genocidal murder, right? And we out here talking about Brittany damn Griner.
Yeah, Russian automatic weapons.
Come on, right?
And that's why Putin wants him.
Listen,
because Putin makes money.
Putin, no. Putin's in a jam right now. Anybody paying attention? Mm-hmm. Putin is fighting the Ukraine, and there have been many questions as to they are having weaponry challenges, right? Victor has sold some of nobody sold more than this guy, right?
You mean to tell me that Victor is the plug?
Victor is the plug.
Is that what you finna tell me?
Let me tell you something. This guy is the plug, and this guy knows the people he sold stuff to who hadn't used it already, and he could pick up the phone and call them and probably get that stuff back. Victor is the plug, man. Am I right, Jarrell?
You're absolutely right.
You know, so Putin, what Putin is like, okay, Victor. Okay, we want Victor. Victor is the plug, man. You ever had a plug and couldn't reach him? Can you imagine how panicked you get sometime when you can't reach your plug? That's a whole nother show. But the point I make is this, right?
Because if you know the only negotiation because it's other Americans in Russian prisons, the only one that they was only negotiating about is Victor.
Right.
That's it. We're not talking about nobody else that y'all have, and y'all can only get Brittany.
Right. Right.
That's the only thing that we're discussing. And my thing too, Don, was by President Biden bringing her, knowing that she has the whole WNBA and the LGBT community behind her, you know, and his election coming up, because it's the same thing Barack Obama did when he was getting ready, when he made same-sex, he passed a bill for same-sex marriages right before he was getting ready to get
reelected.
You and Don, two conspiracy brothers, y'all.
Okay, no, let's go to hold on, Jarrell. Hold on, we're gonna go to the phone lines, take this call. Hey, you're on the Don Miller Show. Where are you calling from?
This is Holly.
Holly calling from the couch.
Holly Holloman.
Holly.
Yes, sir.
What do you think of this trade?
Man, first of all, just want you to understand that this is not about the Negro. This is about the other ethnicity, which is now those letters, the LGBT.
Yeah, we know. Yeah.
That's what this is about. It's not about the Negro. Believe me. There's a whole lot more to this than what we can see. We know that the world basically runs based on wars. That is how countries make money. That is how economies are built and things like that. This has a lot more to do with, like I said, than Brittany Griner. And God bless her. You know, I'm glad she's out. You know, I'm happy for her she's out, but she doesn't affect my life in any way, shape, or form. I'm not a WNBA follower or anything like that.
So you're not one of the 37 people?
Yeah. She what?
You're not one of the 37 people who follow the WNBA.
Well, Don, he's not wrong for that, because I mean I've been listening to all the talk about, you know, equal pay and this and that. Well, you get paid based on what you perform, your performance, and if people aren't coming to see you, you don't get paid. I mean, it's just what it is. And if they did it the way that the NBA is run, then actually those players in the WNBA would owe money back to the company.
Right.
Wow.
So you know, when you really think about it, I mean, it's Dave Chappelle said it best. He said either you can just take what you're getting or shut up. you know, sometimes you just gotta take it for what it's worth, you know, and keep it moving. But there's a lot more to this, and being able to have wars is going to help economies in different places. Yeah, they tear up things, but they build things back and blah, blah, blah. But that's what the world has been built on for a long time, Don, and you know that.
But let me just say this. I totally hear you, but it's a bad trade, and I stand down on bad trades, right? I think that when I look at this, right, I've seen in sports over the years really bad trades, right? I think this would probably trump most of the bad trades I've seen, right? When you trade a guy, right? There's a great book. See, I like to read, and I encourage other people to read. The book is by Doug Farrar and Stephen Braun, right? And the name of the book is Merchant of Death, Money, Guns, Planes, and a Man Who Makes War Possible, right? It's on Amazon.
That's the name of the book?
Yes. The book is called Merchant of Death, Money, Guns, Planes, and the Man Who Makes War Possible. It's on Amazon, right? Stephen Farrar, I think. I'm pretty sure Stephen Farrar. Douglas Farrar. But do me a favor. Go get the book, right? And I think it's important that we know who this guy is. And for black people, this is the guy.
Know who is? Boot or?
Yes, Boot.
Okay.
I think for black people, get off of these streams. You're embarrassing yourself. This guy sold every gun in Liberia and Rwanda and the Congo and all them black movies you've seen of these people and this genocide in that region. The weapons were generally sold by this guy. So I get it. We wanted Brittany Griner to come home, right? We miss him, okay? But it's very important, okay? Really? It's very important, right? It's very important that we have a real conversation about this, right? Because we are looking like, look, I get it. If he was, and this is what everybody's saying. My friend, LB, Liberal Bob calls me last night, and he says to me, well, Don, if this was your loved one, wouldn't you want him to come home? First of all, probably. But I got some loved ones that I don't know if I would care. You follow me?
Are you serious right now?
No, I'm very serious.
No,
I'm very serious. No. See, Glenn, that's that Jesus in you.
No,
right?
no, you can't trivialize this.
I got some loved ones.
I
got some loved ones, okay, that based on this type of situation, knowing the history of this guy, I guess I know it a little bit more than some people apparently, that I don't know if one of my loved ones, right, that had just has a history of nonsense, I'd be like, you got anybody better?
Really?
You know what I mean? The point I make is this.
Wow.
America, we're getting sucked in. Holly, you alluded to the power of the LGBT in this, right? And then when I watched the president tote the beautiful young wife of Brittany Griner.
Did you see that?
Okay. Wonderful.
She was on his arm.
Very articulate.
She was on his arm.
Very articulate, beautiful young
she's
lady.
Beautiful.
She's a law student. And as I watched her come out, then out of the midst.
That was Brittany's wife.
Out of the midst, I saw someone from the past that no one had seen in a long time.
Who is that?
Kamala Harris. Where the hell they get up from, Holly? Did you see up on the stage?
They had to trot her out. They had to bring her out.
Holly, where she been, man?
Well, but again, representation. You know, I mean, this is Don. You worked in politics long. You know, you know the background of all of this and all of these people that are in this.
Yeah.
From Biden, everybody
right.
kind of pushed aside of who he has been,
right,
and in the past, and now who he's representing now. There is so much. It's so much deeper than what we see. You got to kind of go back and look at our history.
Right.
I'm for people